Welcome to From the Shed End podcast. Myself, T.Dot, Theo, as always. We're going to be as upbeat as possible on this video. Match reaction to Brighton last night, 1-1. First and foremost, Theo, how you doing?
Well, Monday was known as Blue Monday, third Monday of the January month, and it's kind of known as being the most gloomy and depressing day of the year. And it definitely felt that way, being sandwiched between the Man City defeat and that dull draw against Brighton last night, where, let's be honest, we underperformed and we were the second best team again. I'm just another frustrated and disappointed Chelsea fan at the moment.
Yep, 100%. It's strange because I did a match preview which we put out yesterday, and I mean, I'm going to stand by what I said. I still think, and you might disagree with me, but I still think the way we set up yesterday, I was surprised to see a back five, the three centre backs. I was surprised to see all of that because we've got to be realistic. We've lost two, you think about Reece James, the form that he was in before he got injured, Ben Chilwell as well, both in good form. You've lost two key players and you're still trying to play that system that clearly isn't working. What was your thoughts on the lineup? Was you surprised to see a back five? Did you expect to see maybe a back four with a couple of changes?
I wasn't too fussed about the defence. I thought, Tuchel clearly likes his wing-back system. And, those wing-backs at times, they contribute to the attacking, players, the likes of Alonso and Aspi. But, you see it maybe more with a Chilwell and Reece James. So it is kind of showing its kind of cracks at the moment, that system. But where I was disappointed with the lineup was, for me, it's Lukaku. He should have not been anywhere near that lineup. His type of, he's come out at that interview kind of period, and he's trying to win back the fans, supposedly at the club that he wants to stay at now. And, ever since that he published that apology video, he's put in, I think, four performances that have been abysmal. Worst player on the pitch for both sets of teams. And for me, it's kind of Thomas Tuchel has to show his authority there and, pick his lineups based on merit, not on players that have, 100 million price tag. So for me, he should have not been anywhere near that lineup. And even, yes, I know he scored Hakim Ziyech. We'll talk about the goal maybe in a bit. It was possibly a bit of luck in it. But for me, again, another player that shouldn't have been anywhere near the starting 11 after his performance against Man City. You're picking his team based on merit. This is why I'm starting to think maybe some players that we do think should be starting are in the lineup because of something that's happening behind the scenes or in the dressing room. But for me, it should have been a front three of Mount, Havertz and Werner.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, I'm going to put them all in the same basket. I think that the attacking players that we've got all need to be doing better. And I agree with you. Lukaku's been, he comes in on this big price tag. You expect a lot more. You think about how he played for Inter Milan and everything, the whole build up to him coming back to the club, the interview, the aftermath of the interview, everything that he's done in the last couple of weeks has been sort of through the whole club in turmoil. Fans, looks like the team as well in terms of playing staff, coaching staff, manager, all of that looks like it's come to a head now. And I think, I'm not gonna blame just him, and he's got to take a lot of the stick because at times he makes the right run, he doesn't get the right service. I get that, but then there's times where you've got to, we could talk about Man City. He didn't hold the ball at once. He lost possession too much. He was, he was about £1 player, not £100 player, but at that point. But I think what's frustrating me about Lukaku in the front three, Hakim Ziyech, you point out as well, is there's no cohesion. There's just nothing between, and I kind of touched on it in the last video, that there's no consistency as well. You look at that front three, it's always changing. They don't, and I'm not saying that you have to keep the front three, but you look at like a Mane, Salah, Diego Jota, you can kind of, what front three you're coming up against when you play Liverpool. We don't have that. We've got the players, I think Werner, Kai Havertz, even, dare I say, maybe even Lukaku, put him in there. I think if you got those three playing consistently, you'd see a bit more going forward. And we just haven't got that. We just looked, Lukaku's pointing at his feet pretty much most of the game. This is where I want the ball, but it doesn't work like that in football. You don't just, it's almost like he wants someone to score the goals for him, and he's got to do more, 100%. But Hakim Ziyech, bar the goal, yeah, not to celebrate as well. It tells me there's something wrong at the club. There's something going on in the dressing room as well. But one player that, I mean, look, we can't give anyone a man of the match for Chelsea, but one player that did impress me, and he let a goal in, was Kepa. I thought he put off some good saves again, kept us in the game. What's your thoughts on Kepa?
Yeah, one player for me that, didn't deserve to concede, if anything. That save he put right before the corner, where we scored from, was a save that, if it's a Ramsdale, if it's a Alisson, people will be talking about it. And what frustrates me, not with Kepa, but with the fans' attitude towards Kepa, is when he conceded against Man City, but Mendy would have saved that. We need to cut that out. Because I don't think Mendy's saving that, that Grealish opportunity in the first half. And I don't think maybe Mendy's even saving that shot before the corner against Brighton. They're both fantastic keepers, and we need to appreciate their kind of capabilities and their skills that they each have. And Kepa's doing a great job, filling in for Mendy while he's at AFCON. And if anything, he's too good to be number 2.
Yeah.
The performances that he's put in, we've been unlucky to be on the losing side, against City. I mean, he's been unlucky to be on the losing side against City and to get a point against Brighton. But it's type of games where he's showing the manager that he deserves to be number 1. And he was fantastic. Another player that impressed me and showed that he wants to play for the badge. He wants to play for the club. Maybe Silva being another one. He put in some great blocks, challenges, looked frustrated when we were conceded. And also you look at the players actually did celebrate when we scored, as P. Silva. Players that are fully committed to the team. And you spoke about the cohesion between Lukaku and Ziyech and those type of players. It was appalling. There was no chemistry between the two of them. And it just goes to show you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's no consistency with our offensive players. One of them will score and then go on, a couple of weeks of just doing F all. And then, where you look at the Liverpools and Cities, they have the likes of Mahrez, Jota, Sterling, players that, when you play them, that they'll put in an 8 out of 10 performance, get you a goal, get you an assist. We don't have that. We don't have that. We've brought in Lukaku to score us 20 goals a season. Right now, he'll be lucky to score us, another 2 before the end of the season. So I don't know, I could go on a big rant here, but
no, you're right. I think it's I'm laughing because what else can I do? I'm in that situation where if I don't laugh, I'll cry. But it's one of those ones where it was always going to be a difficult game. Brighton are not a team that you can just go to and expect to get 3 points from. And I said that in the video, that it's going to be difficult. One thing I noticed was the amount of pressure that, we lose the ball, and the amount of, Brighton lose the ball, and the amount of times they just surround us. They were surrounding us. They didn't give us any time on the ball. They kept their high line pretty much most of the game, which I thought was impressive for Brighton as well. But we just let them dictate the tempo of the game. We didn't try and win the ball back in any rush. It was almost, even, it's 1-1, you've got 4 minutes stoppage time. There was no real desire to go and win the ball or get a goal. There was nothing from any of them. So it's worrying. It's worrying. I wanted to ask, because it's 2 games on the bounce now that I've noticed this, but early in the season, something wasn't going right in the team. Thomas Tuchel, halftime, hook off, Saul Niguez or Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think even earlier in the season. I think Saturday, City, it was probably about 70 minutes. And I think even yesterday, it was probably the same, surely. And I think, I went on Twitter and pretty much everyone on Twitter was saying, where's the subs? Where's our subs? Why, where's the subs? It's, 20 minutes, 10 minutes left into a game. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can be effective in a game, 10 minutes to go in a game. So why do you think that's changed for Tuchel? Because he was very adamant early in the season that if something wasn't right, he wasn't scared to change things at half time.
I don't know. I agree with you. For me, I love Tuchel. I'll back him to the end, but he got it completely wrong with the lineups and the timing of the substitutions at the Etihad and at the Amex last night. It just didn't make sense, bringing on, was it Havertz and Werner, so late, and Kovacic so late on in the game. Those are type of subs you can make maybe at half time or in the 60th minute mark to really impact, the remaining half hour or so. But my theory to maybe why he's doing it is maybe he wants to make a point to the board that, he's not content with the current squad he has. He's not content with the options that he can bring off the bench. And that being said, maybe he wants to prove to Marina and the hierarchy that he needs, financial backing. He needs to bring maybe some players in. However, the only players that we're currently being linked to are wing backs or defenders. So I don't know. It doesn't really add up. But I back Tuchel. I know I disagree with the starting lineup. I kind of, there must be a reasoning behind it why he's playing a Ziyech, why he dropped Mount against Man City. But yeah, maybe you start to think as well. There's some camps maybe going on in the training ground. Two different groups of players that maybe are opposed to his system, or are backing his system, or maybe another theory. Those type of players that are backing Lukaku, and those players that don't want to be playing with Lukaku if his mind's in Milan. The likes of maybe Ziyech, if you think of it, why his chemistry was so poor with Lukaku. Maybe it's because, he doesn't want to be playing with him. He doesn't agree with why he's at Chelsea, why he's starting the games. But Tuchel, the substitution, kind of the timing of it didn't make sense last night.
Yeah, it's too often now. And I think, I'm like you, I'm going to back whoever's the manager at Chelsea. I'm going to back them to the very end. And I think he has got things wrong. You can see there's a slight bit of pressure coming into his role now. Obviously, Champions League, that honeymoon's over. I think that only buys you so much time, and this is going for any. We saw what happened to Roberto Di Matteo. So any manager managing Chelsea, they're always on that borrowed time sort of element of it. But we've got to back him. He's the manager. He obviously knows more, and this is what frustrates me about, again, going online, which I shouldn't do. But when you go on social media, everyone's got an opinion about something, but we're not on the training ground every day, or we don't see what's happening at Cobham. We don't know. So there could be loads of things that actually go on. The manager obviously can't come out and tell anyone what's happening. So there is probably valid reasons why. And I think he said about Mason Mount was all tactical against Man City. There's probably reasons why Lukaku's starting and Havertz is on the bench. We don't know, which is frustrating. But let's talk about the Brighton goal, because I was speechless. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't believe the lack of defending. I think it was Mason Mount. I think maybe Alonso or Jorginho. I think one of them almost leaves him to give them a free header. It was a poor set piece. What was your thoughts on it? I'm still flabbergasted. I can't even talk.
Just mark your man. That's all I can say. I think it's Mason Mount. He loses his marker, and next thing you know, Webster's got it in the back of the net. The first thing you learn when you're taught to play football is mark your man on set pieces, and just follow that man and win that header, or make it difficult for him to win that header. And now Mason Mount just stands still and lets Webster run off, and people send a bullet header in the net. It's just poor defending, and I don't think it's a thing. Maybe an offensive player, shouldn't be on a player like Webster. Maybe you should put a Rudiger or a Silva on him,
because they were all there. They were all in front.
They were all there. Yeah,
they were all there. No one was picking up anyone. And you've got all your defenders at the front post, and you've got all your offensive players at the back post marking someone like Webster, who is prone to do that. He's going to run off and get that free header off. So it didn't make any sense at all.
And I saw an interesting statistic. It was, we've only conceded 2 headers this season, and both have come against Brighton, home and away. So maybe Brighton had a game plan going into that game. They saw maybe Chelsea were vulnerable from a header after the first game, and they did the same thing in the fixture last night. But it's something that maybe we need to work on, against teams teams will look at that and realize, okay, Chelsea maybe are vulnerable from set pieces, from corners. Let's capitalize on this, but definitely needs resolving. One other thing I was going to say is fatigue. Fatigue could be a reason why we're underperforming at the moment. Every single team has had a game postponed or pushed back, even though they've got a fully fit squad or just one COVID case. But that's another rant I can go into. Yeah. But we seemed to, as soon as we're about to get a week break, before our next Premier League fixture, we have a fixture that we were meant to play in February. Got moved forward and not pushed back. It's the first time I've ever heard of this. Yeah. And that's another reason I'm thinking, like, Tuchel probably wanted this week to give his players a rest, before the Tottenham game, which is a big, big game now. But instead, he has a tough game at the Amex against a very good Brighton side, he has to prepare for. Yeah. It's not fair. I really don't think it's fair at all.
It's worrying, because obviously we spoke many weeks ago around the December congested fixture list, and even January has just been just as bad, maybe not as December, but it's still very congested. You've just mentioned then, obviously, we've got the World Club Cup coming up in a couple of weeks as well. We've got FA Cup in 2 weeks, I think, from now, against Plymouth. there's so much football to be played, and you're looking at sort of an Aspilicueta who, to me, looks shattered. Mason Mount looks shattered as well. All these players are just constantly playing, and you're right, we haven't had a game postponed, and it might be a slight cop-out, might be a bit of an excuse, but at the end of the day, it's an advantage to other teams who are getting a week's rest, or their game isn't for 4 or 5 days. And it seems like only yesterday we was watching City, and that was only we're playing again on a Tuesday. So it's got to take its toll on the players. I get that, and I think this is where my frustration is coming from that system. I think me personally, I probably would have had Malang Sarr in that team, left back. He done well against Spurs. I would have potentially made it a back four. Just give a bit more support to those centre backs, because Alonso was getting a new arsehole torn out of him because Lamptey was brilliant, and we saw the same thing with Sterling at the weekend as well. I think Alonso got booked as well again for a
very early
challenge.
on.
Yeah, another silly challenge. So I'm not pinpointing Alonso, because there was parts of his game that he did actually do very well last night, but sometimes you've got to maybe rotate those players, especially that you've only got Alonso to rely on. You've only got Aspi to rely on at the moment in that position, or you're going to put a makeshift player like Hudson-Odoi or Pulisic in those areas. So I potentially would have gone for Malang Sarr left back. But yeah, it's all hindsight now. We can all talk about it and say, I would have put this person here and this person there. I don't think I could rate any of our players. I don't think any of them would have got anywhere above 5, and that's including Kepa, Thiago Silva. They probably would have been my 5s. But going into the next couple of games now, obviously we're talking about Spurs. We now, and I said this on the last video, we're now not talking about title challenge. We're talking about, are we going to make top 4, which is the realistic thing. What would you do? What would you do if you was the manager? What would you do in terms of formations? Would you change it? Because it seems like teams have cottoned on to the system that we play in. High line, pressure, don't give us time on the ball, win the ball back, get in our faces. What would you change, if anything?
I think rotate more. I think it sounds like the easy kind of solution to the problem, but it's Aspi and Alonso, again, 2 players that look absolutely shattered yesterday. But they've been playing a game every 2-3 days, the 2 of them almost. Like you mentioned, Lamptey was giving as Alonso a torrid time. Cucurella was doing the same to Aspi on the other side. So I think, Kennedy's come back for a reason. I think he's going to play in that left wing back, role. Lewis Hall was on the bench yesterday. Another player that can fill in there. Type of players that you'd want to, maybe play again, in the Plymouth games or Cleveland Club World Cup if you want to give players a big rest. But Sound as well, another player that can play a part. I don't know. I think Lukaku, he's hardly, apart from the Liverpool game, he's played every minute of every game almost, or the large majority of the games since he's come back from his injury, and he's done F all. He's honestly done F all. So play a Havertz in that position, or if you are going to play a Lukaku, replicate the kind of formation that he was with Inter, where he had a player alongside him like a Havertz. Havertz can play that Lautaro Martinez role, and have the 2 of them up front with a Mason Mount behind them. But yeah, I think this kind of current system and formation, which used to be so good at winning back the ball and pressing up high with the wing backs, is kind of like showing its cracks now, and it's kind of past its expiry date, if anything.
Because it's showing that brilliant. Well, not even defensively, but previous to the last couple of results, defensively it's brilliant. You get your 3 centre backs, you get the 2 wing backs filling in when we lose the ball. But going forward, it takes away everything. When you play like the way that we're playing at the moment, we haven't got anything creative going forward. And I agree with you. I think maybe having someone sitting in almost that 10 role, that Mason Mount could potentially fulfill that, and then have you 2. I mean, I'd love Werner and Lukaku up front. I think that would be ideal. Or Werner and Havertz, whoever. But I think what we need going forward is a bit more consistency. Not to say that they start every game, but I think we need to have, like you just mentioned, Man City, we know when Mahrez starts, or, Raheem Sterling's in the team, we know what we're going to get from them. Same with Liverpool, Jota, Salah, Mane, you know what you're going to get from that front 3. And I think we don't have that. And I think we need to start thinking about that going forwards. It's going to be interesting on the Sunday game, because Spurs, we beat them 2 legs. It's going to be interesting now. Are they going to be looking for blood, knowing that we're kind of on our back foot, our last legs? Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. And I think I said on the previous video, we've got to start thinking about top 4 now, because you look at all those teams behind us, a lot of them have got games in hands. it's going to be difficult for us to keep that momentum going through this tough period.
Yeah, I think just quickly, top 4. That should be a focused objective now, rather than look ahead of us, look behind us, because we've got the likes of Arsenal, Tottenham, United of games in hand that are breathing down our necks, West Ham as well. And Spurs on Sunday is a big one. I can put my savings on that's going to be a 1-1 again. That seems to be our favourite scoreline this season. I wasn't on the preview video on the previous episode, but I predicted 1-1, on my social channels and on the app, and it just seems so predictable. We score early on, and then we just look vulnerable, and we'll concede where God knows which minute of the second half. Like when we scored in the first half, I didn't celebrate because I just knew a Brighton equaliser was coming. Sooner than later.
You did say.
I said it. We said it online. Yeah, we said it on WhatsApp. But no, just another kind of solution to whatever problems we're having is fix whatever's happening behind the scenes. Whether it's Lukaku's ego, whether it's there's 2 separate groups of players that aren't, finding that chemistry or not kind of building that rapport that they should have. But fix whatever that is. Manager should call them all into a team meeting and talk to them. Because if you're not playing for the manager, you're not playing for the badge, then get out in the summer. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, definitely. I can't disagree with that at all. I think, club comes first, egos come second, and everyone's got to play for the badge, play for their position, play for their team, play for their wages, more to the point as well, I'm still shocked. I'm going to be honest. I thought we were going to put in a better performance after City, but look, Spurs is the big one now. I think we've got to focus on that. It's all not downbeat. We're still in the FA Cup. We're in the League Cup final, Club World Cup. So there's a lot still to play for. But I think this part of the season now, up until now to the end of the season, is going to be crucial for Tuchel. And it's strange saying that off the back of how we started the season, the Champions League final, but it's going to be crucial for Tuchel, because if he doesn't get this right, he doesn't, questions are going to start being asked of him, which is inevitable. That happens especially at Chelsea. So yeah, the last thing we need is a loss to Spurs. I'm not looking forward to the game, I'm going to be honest, but we'll be here. We'll be cheering on the boys, obviously. I'm not sure if you're going.
I am, yeah.
You are. It's going to be painful if we lose then. But but we're going to be back, obviously, of course. Got our 50th episode to record, hopefully after a win. We don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, as always, as a Chelsea fan, highs and lows. But Theo, thanks for joining me. As always, this has been From the Shed End.
This was therapy today.
Yeah, we needed it. Look, you look better already. You look happier. So, this has been From the Shed End. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you also follow us on the social accounts as well. Make sure you listen to our episodes on Spotify or Apple. But yeah, this has been From the Shed End. Until next time, everyone, thank you for listening or watching. Take care.